Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the show. We are on another episode with Meet the Band. I'm your host, the BMD, aka Big Mac Daddy. I hope you like that phrase. And today's a special show. We have two Canadian legends with us. Andy Kim on the top left, looking at your screen, in the bottom right, Hill. Canadian legends, guys. Unbelievable careers, lots of awards, lots of winning awards, and like your whole life has been in the entertainment business. I want to get right at it to our show. We are constant with bringing our guests to our viewers and listening audience. But I want to ask the first question right again. Again, thanks again for joining the show today. And we won't forget the boss of bosses, Scott Templeton, over to the second left side there. He helped make this happen. Thanks again, Scott. And our producer, Lucas Nearing, is here making us all look and sound good. First question up, guys. We're going to hold hands. How did you guys, Andy Kim and Dan Hill, how did you connect? I'm just going to ask general questions and take each other's answers. Let's start with Dan.
Okay, well, I was working with the brilliant songwriter Barry Mann, and he was friends with Andy. And so in 1977, when I was over at Barry Mann's place in Los Angeles, he introduced me to Andy on the phone. So thanks to Barry Mann, Andy and I became friends way back in 1977.
Andy, anything to add on to that, or did that clear it?
Well, as soon as Dan starts working with someone like Barry Mann, who we all know has written with his late wife, probably the most important songs in rock and roll pop history. The great thing about Dan is that we both didn't bring our catalog to us. We just brought the fact that we were both Canadians, and we became friends very easily.
So when you guys connected, how long did you have to kick the touring project around? Has it been in the works for a while, or boom, let's do it?
Well, Andy and I had performed on several occasions. As you know, Andy has put together this unbelievable benefit concert annually at Massey Hall for CAMH, and I was fortunate enough to have been part of those shows. And we also participated in songwriting circles, whereby a bunch of songwriters sit around in a circle and trade songs and stories. So we had performed on the same stage before. Again, as Andy points out, we were friends first. We were friends before we were any kind of musical collaborators. But I'd always loved watching Andy perform. It was even more fun if he was right beside me. So it seemed like a real natural evolution to go from being friends for almost 50 years to performing on the same stage to then going to what I call as a co-headliner, where Andy and I literally just sit side by side on stage, trade songs and trade stories. It just seemed like a really natural thing for us to do.
So you have a strong connection with the fans. Andy, can you talk about the tour with the fans? How important?
Yeah, you know what? If I can go back to the first time Dan called me and asked if I would want to participate in his evening, be a co-host, but really I've always seen it as Dan Hill and Andy Kim. I didn't care where we were playing. I didn't care about much. All I cared about was I'm going to be next to Dan for a couple of hours. And I think that's what fills my heart and soul up. Regarding the audience, I'm hoping they're treated to, a lot of songs that they remember, that they grew up with. And I'd never done this collaboration with anybody. So with Dan, I feel safe, and
Mhm.
I'm blessed to have him in my life.
That is a very special comment showing some strength on that friendship. What about songwriting, you two guys? Different songwriters, of course. Can you talk to us about the blend? How you blend that on a concert night?
Well, I think a lot of it is sort of blended by our our storytelling, because one of the things that we're able to do that obviously an audience is not aware of when they're hearing our songs on the radio or hearing our songs recorded by other artists is they don't know the genesis of the song, what inspired the actual writing of the song, and then how did that song go from being inspired by, say, this unbelievable evening with a woman to then becoming a hit, or to be picked up by, say, Tina Turner, someone we were both lucky enough to have record at least a couple of our songs. So I think the talking, the sharing of stories and experiences back and forth along with the songs seems to give the audience more depth of understanding. Plus, and for me, the best part is none of this is rehearsed. I mean, we don't have a script. Neither Andy or I are reading from a piece of paper. We just kind of extemporaneous, spontaneously talk about how these songs evolve. But then there's crosstalk between Andy and me. He may say something that I find really interesting, so I might want to point that out. There might be some kind of gentle teasing, and in some ways, I think that's the most fun for everybody, including us, that we're just saying things based on what the other is saying. So I think the stories really help bridge the similarities of both Andy and me. We're very similar on so many levels, and yet obviously we both have our own unique styles of writing and performing as well. So I think it was sort of like a happy accident. I don't think we realized the power of the show between our connection as individuals and our outpouring as songwriters and musicians.
Andy, anything to add?
Yeah, so I've always uh, been free form. I never think about what I'm going to say. Um, I just get a certain, I guess, feeling about being in a room with an audience. Um, and I'll always remember the first show we did. And, I'm kind of nervous. And then, we're introduced Dan Hill, Andy Kim. Dan sits down and talks to the audience. And he does a song. And then he introduces me. But while he's introducing me, he says, not that many people know that, Andy doesn't talk about himself. We don't hear him talk about himself. And so, Andy, if you would just tell the audience something about you. Well, my heart froze, but it opened me up to a place that I would never have gone to except for my dear friend Dan. Um, and it's why I love him so much. It's a combination of one spirit having the ability to create a language between us and to help me get through my initial uh, talking about myself, talking about my family, growing up in Montreal, etc. I rarely shared that with anybody. Um, and I was surprised that I was able to say those words without feeling uncomfortable. And I always know that, Dan will always find the treasure in the artists that he works with, the people that he knows. And I'm forever grateful for him being in my life.
Interesting comment. Dan, what do you feel about those comments? That's some
Well,
pretty heavy English that just happened.
well, I'm really moved by what Andy has to say. Although we are very, very close, I consider him to be one of my best, if not my best friend. Um, I feel like I really know Andy, but he's kind of the antithesis of a typical successful artist, meaning he doesn't really talk about himself. And if you don't realize it, you could be hanging out, you could be going out to dinner with Andy, and by the time you're driving home, you realize that you've been doing all the talking, and he's been doing all the listening. Uh, I feel very close to Andy, but there are things about fundamental things necessarily he doesn't share, and I've never really. That just is Andy. So the one of the great things about doing these shows is a lot of parts of Andy's life I had no idea about until he's telling the audience. I just didn't know 90% of the stuff that Andy has shared with the audience, which I believe Andy hasn't figured this out ahead of time. I think it's just kind of naturally spilling out of him. I didn't know. So one of the great parts for me performing with Andy is it gives me a chance to see more things about Andy and understand what has made Andy who he is as a man right now.
Interesting. Guys,
And excuse me, and I could never have done this without Dan. You should know that.
I
would
appreciate
never do it.
Spirit. I'm hearing different spirits. I'm hearing storytelling. And then I'm hearing different music. Is that depend on the night? Andy mentioned gets the feeling from the crowd. Dan, can you tell us first? Walk on stage, ladies and gentlemen, Dan Hill, da 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 da. And then, like, do you get a vibe right now? You said you're not rehearsed about potential stories in your head you're going to engage with the audience, or you never know till the lights, action, camera turn on.
Well, one thing that's I find kind of amusing with Andy and myself is that we never know who's going to sing the first song, right? So sometimes we're on stage in front of the audience, we still don't know, and he'll say, "Do you want to do the first?" I think we both kind of want the other to start, and so a lot of my song choices are predicated on what Andy sings. So if he sings something, say that's a hit, and he's had so many hits, Andy, that it's hard to keep track of them. Well, I feel kind of this kind of thing inside me feel like I maybe need to come up with one of my songs that was a hit. Whereas if he sings something that isn't a hit, but it's just an amazing song, then I may feel like I want to go into my toolbox and come up with a song that's really strong, but not a hit. So a lot of my set is based on what Andy says and what Andy sings. And that's the part of it that makes it fun. I think we both know I think we both have maybe at least 20 plus songs that we're capable of singing on any given night. But really, because between the two of us and our stories, the most songs we're going to sing in one night are, say, 7 songs each, right? So we do have this big array of songs to choose from. But again, what we end up performing depends sort of literally on the moment.
Interesting. Andy, can you jump in there?
Well, it's what I love about what we're doing. The I'll speak for myself as a songwriter. People ask me about, well, why'd you write this and how'd you write that? And the truth is, I don't exactly know. All I know is that I was hoping that, God's angels continue to come my way and I would write something. But after you've written it and you've made a record, you really don't know what an audience is going to think. And so I've never felt that what I wrote and recorded was anything other than a gift. And I'm always marveling when I hear Dan sing his songs. And I keep wondering, my God, this guy's just so effing great. And because we don't write the same kind of songs, but we have the same effect on people that do like our songs. And it's really it's a marvelous tapestry to me on who Dan Hill is. I would never have thought about calling someone to do this. I would never have thought about anything that has given me so much joy and has reminded me that I do have a history. Because I never, to be honest with you, I'm a moment to moment person. I don't wake up in the morning thinking how great yesterday was. I'm excited about being here today.
Gotcha.
And Dan has really taught me so much about life.
What is the most question you get asked from concert fans, media fans, internet fans, or your websites? What is, over all the years, what is the question you can't run away from?
Andy, you can lead with this one.
Oh, I was about to say you lead with it, but I'll try and lead with it. Most of the time, there's a wonder, not about selling records or traveling the world or making a living. Um, it's really about that I get asked, how did this happen that you wrote a song called Sugar Sugar for a comic book characters? And the truth is that nobody wanted to play that song when it came out. It was the year of Woodstock. We were going to the moon and all that kind of stuff. So um, there's kind of this beautiful cloud that I'm sitting on, and people asking me about how Sugar Sugar happened.
Interesting. Dan, how about you?
Well, I get asked most of the time one question: did I get the girl? Because sometimes when we touch, it's clear that I wasn't getting the girl. And Can't We Try? It was clear that I wasn't getting the girl. So I would say that's the most asked question. They do sometimes. People ask me how much money a certain song made, which to me is I'm not offended, but I don't think I would answer that question any more than if you went up to, say, a random person at a party and say he was, I don't know, a dentist or an architect or a garbage collector. You would never go up and ask that person how much money did they make. So I get asked a lot of questions about money, and I get asked a lot of questions about if I ever had any of these women, change their minds about my worthiness upon hearing the song I wrote about them.
Dan, did you get the one?
No, I never got her. When I first played her my song over the phone, when I was 19 and she was an older woman at 22, she just sighed like this martyred sigh and said, "Danny, for a 19-year-old, you're way too intense. I'm taking off with the football player." So the reality is that my songs were chasing girls and women away. It's a great fantasy, I suppose, to imagine this beautiful song. If you hear a song on the radio saying you're a woman and it's a really, really touching romantic song, I can see how you might pretend it was written about you, but the realities are always different than fantasy. So if you're like an intense 15, 16-year-old kid and this girl, especially if I grew up in a very sheltered suburban, is in my basement, I said, "This is a song I wrote about you," chances are she would have been out of the basement running down the street before I'd gotten halfway through the song. Women weren't used to that kind of intensity, when I was growing up.
Anyways, thanks for being on the show. I hope we didn't bore you too much.
It was
I
great.
hope you enjoyed your time with me, the BMD, and wish you well and happy touring.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Great
Appreciate
to
it.
see you again, Andy. Can't wait for our
See you soon. I love you.
Okay, love you too. Okay, bye for now.
Bye.
See you guys.
Okay, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. You're on Rogers Television with our show Meet the Band. I am the BMD, your host, and to my left on the screen in front of you is the one and only, I've been told he's the one and only Scott Templeton, owner, operator, and partner, Blackrose Entertainment. I saw you look up there. The wife must be sitting there ready to slug you if I don't say it right. Anyways, welcome back to see you, sir. And I want to start right off just before we get into the jump. As I'm walking around Durham region throughout the week, I often get stopped. I don't mean every day, but often get stopped. And the latest question was, who's got the best goatee, me or you? Number one. Number two, who was growing it first and who's had it the longest? Go ahead, sir.
I don't know. Mine's been for a while now. So,
Oh, can you elaborate on a while?
oh, geez, probably since I was
6, 9
probably about
weeks,
35.
years.
So looking 36 years now.
Okay, well, you got me beat. So next time I stop, mine's been about 6. Anyways, good to have you in there. Thanks for hanging in. I know I delayed it again with being lost in the moment, but hey, when you're a good broadcaster, that's what happens. You get into the flow. But what I want to know now, we're on Scott's Corner. What is happening with Blackrose Entertainment? What's hot? What's not? Tell us
Well,
some about what's going on with you since we last chatted.
well, we're actually going absolutely crazy right now because we just finished a little break. We had 10 days off where we weren't doing any shows at theaters, but we're still doing a lot of background work. So it never really stops. You just keep going and moving. And we were looking at the shows that we have, and my wife came up with a crazy number of shows that we had this year. It's we've probably done 40 of them. We've done about 174 shows this year right
Wow.
across Ontario. So to say we're busy um, would be an understatement.
Are you the biggest promotion group out there now?
No, we hear a lot of people saying you're Durham Live Nation and that, but you know what? We're probably not the biggest. Live Nation is huge. There's a lot of other promoters out there that do a lot of shows. Um, so it just ends up happening. You just because the show comes up, falls in your lap, and go, you know what, that'll work. I'm going to put it over here and here and here. Like this year, we have 25. Actually, we just picked up a 26. Grease the concert show.
Okay.
So that's 26 shows across Ontario for Grease. We have Gatto is sitting at 15 shows across Ontario, and that's his 50th anniversary. We're probably going to end up in March, probably April next year, doing Gatto and Friends at the casino.
Oh, okay.
So at Pickering Casino. So it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, we have Gowan coming up. We have uh, Daniel Langlois goes on sale next week. Um, geez, I'm in the process of still working on the Kim Mitchell.
Okay.
I just got another email about it, so hopefully we get that wrapped up and we can get that show up and on sale at the Regent Theater. So, we have something for everybody.
What about any teasers? Have you got any teasers you could throw at me?
Not at this time. We have like at this time we're taking it easy. We're gonna try and we're gonna make it through everything we've got going on right now. But I mean, following up with the Dan Hill, Andy Kim, and story and song interview that you just did, we have them come. It may not make it, but May 1st, May 2nd. Um, yeah, that's one's at Coburg and one is at Kingston. May 22nd, we have that show in Belleville, and then we just finished off setting up with London. So they have their fourth show coming up in London, September 6th.
I hear you're having Spice Girls back in.
We do. We have Spice Girls coming back on June 28th, right near the end of Pride Month. That'll be at the Regent Theater, and there's a lot of tickets starting to sell for that show now too. But they are available. And you know what? The best way is get a group together and come on down. You'll just have a blast that day. It's so much fun.
That was. We did the interview there in the winter with them. They were a lot of fun, very
Yeah,
juicy and very, exciting to talk to. And from what I heard and saw, a wonderful show. I can see why you'd have them back.
yeah.
Now, moving forward with Blackrose Entertainment, any changes you're making in your maybe adding some more meet and greets or autograph sessions or
Well, well, it all depends on the band, really. But Gatto with Greg Godovich, he comes out after every show, signs books, signs T-shirts, everything with great meet and greet. Dan Hill and Andy Kim, they do the same thing. They got CDs and they sign things for people. It's a big interactive part of who they are. It's like it's that interacting with the fan that brings the fan back. So a lot of them do that now.
Any
Yeah.
new shirts we're going to see debuted on the show?
Any
New shirts?
new shirts? Not yet. We have the new Gatto shirts coming out, but you may see it. But I do have. I mean, I haven't got any new ones coming, but I've been looking online to see a couple more that I like.
Okay, well, we'd like them bright, just like your smile. Anyways, you've been listening to and watching owner, operator, and partner of Blackrose Entertainment. They are really happening in the Durham region and all of Ontario now. They've expanded out with their. Check their website. Scott, can you tell them how they can get a hold of you?
Yep. If they go to blackroseentertainment.ca, you can contact us there. We have an info page. If you have any questions or you have bands that you're interested in, send them to us. We're always happy to respond back to the emails. And you never know, you might find a gem in all those new bands and send stuff. So
Absolutely. Well, thanks for maintaining your presence on the show. Always happy to talk to you. Thanks again, guys. You've been listening and watching Meet the Band with our Scott's Corner, owner, operator, and partner of Blackrose Entertainment. Now, we always say, signing off, if you've had a good time, tell a friend.
And we're back on Meet the Band for the month of May. This month we're looking at the Regent Theater, which has Gowan on May 15th and May 18th. Go check them out. Also back to let you know that I own and operate a recording studio in Whitby, where I have a bunch of vintage tube mics, outboard gear, guitar, bass, drums, plenty of effects. If you're looking to get your music recorded, mixed, or mastered, check me out on Instagram, Lucas Nearing, or email me at lucasnearingeng@gmail.com.
Hey folks, the BMD here on my show Meet the Band. If you or your group would like to be a guest on the show, email us at thebmdpodcast@gmail.com. See you then.